Good morning, Toastmasters, scientists, suffragettes. Hunter, Rick Hunter, was thrown out of high school for blowing up his chemistry lab. He gets by as an unemployed part-time construction worker, member of Mensa, an avid cave explorer with his fellow explorer, Steve Tucker, a professional accountant, and again, an amateur cave explorer. I picked this picture to show you how thin and slender and wiry Steve is. Rick and Steve do most of their exploring in South Africa, and they especially this area up here. Here's where here's where they did their most significant exploring. Notice they found a cave. This has been very frequently visited by both paleontologists and cave explorers. And now when you get down here to what they call Superman's crawl, this is only 10.5 inches wide. So far fewer people have gone past this. Then you're in a pitch black room, generally nicknamed the Dragon's Back. As you work your way up here, totally dark except for maybe the light you have on your helmet, you come here to what's called the Dragon's Back. This is only 7.5 inches wide. It leads down to a 40-foot drop into what's called the Dinelli chamber. Here, Rick and Steve made a very significant find. This was on Friday, September 13th, 2013. I want you to think about where you were in fall 2013. Most of you in this room already lived in California. Most of you in this Zoom already were members of Adelante Toastmasters. Most of you were very involved in the hustle and bustle of your everyday life. But on this day, a very significant find was made. So the guys didn't know what their next step should be. So they contacted another explorer, Pedro Bashoff. Now, Pedro looks a little rough here in his exploring clothing, but Pedro has actually been a highly rated explorer for geological companies and universities. In fact, this motorcycle was given to him by a university so that he could go out to areas that they wanted to send him to. Now, here's the three guys together: Rick, Steve, and Pedro. Again, your typical university employee. As you'll notice, Pedro here is no way going to get through the 7.5 inch little holes. So he decided the next step would be, let's talk to my sponsoring friend, Lee Berger. Now, Lee is the Joe Montana of Oprah Winfrey, the Rick McJagger, the Barack Obama of paleontology. And when you are the superstar, they put your picture on the cover of on the cover of Scientific America and Science Magazine. But wait a minute, back up. Come on, keep going back up. Did I say that Lee made significant discoveries? No. Lee's 9-year-old son, Matthew Berger, actually found a clavicle dated more than 2 million years old. This was back in 2008. So now here we go. We've got the story of Steve, Rick, and Pablo given to Lee, telling him that they found something really significant in this cave. However, Lee cannot get the funding and sponsorship he needs without a much better picture. Now, there are two different versions of this story, two very different versions. If you've ever done any type of biblical research, you know that very often parables or stories or gospels contradict each other. Well, here I've got two different stories. You're going to decide which one is true. Before Matthew was 18 years old, the story was that they took Pedro's laptop down, took some computer pictures, brought them up, and his Lee pursued assistance with that. After Matthew became 18 years old, the story started to be told that Matthew, as a 14-year-old, was the best candidate in South Africa, able to fit through a 7.5-inch gap, and who knew how to work photography the way a paleontologist needed it done. And according to this story, Lee and the guys took Matthew to the cave, and he descended into the pitch black. Lee spent 2 hours wondering how much jail time he'd have to do if his son, a minor, never came back up out of there. They did pop up with a great big grin, fantastic photographs that Lee was able to submit to his sponsor, National Geographic, and get the authority to run an expedition. Lee posted on Facebook, of all places, a long message asking for help. He explained the person must be skinny and preferably small. Candidates should not be claustrophobic. They had to be cavers. They had to hold a relevant master's degree or doctorate. Now, think about it. If you're a PhD candidate, you probably have somewhere between $60,000 and $160,000 in debt. Imagine turning to your parents and saying, I'm going to drop my teacher's aide job and just fly to Africa, work underground, 60 feet underground, for no pay. But like I said, Lee Berger was the superstar of the field at that time. 60 candidates applied for him. He picked 6 on September 13th. The discovery was made. On October 6th, the sponsor gave him the green light. He sent out a request via Facebook. And here are the 6 women, all women, that were selected to be on the expedition. They began their job Sunday, November 10th, 2013. Look how quickly this went. It was discovered on September 13th. It was given the green light on October 6th. And in a little over a month, these women dropped what they were doing and flew to South Africa. And again, here's their working condition. Okay, they enter the cave, go quite a bit, go 60 feet underground to the Superman's crawl. It's called the Superman's crawl because most people cannot get through it with both arms together. Your shoulders are too wide. You have to pull one shoulder back, almost like a swimmer or a Superman flying, squeeze through there. Now in pitch black with only the light on your helmet, you have to edge your way up to the 7.5-inch gap. Slip through that and then descend 40 feet. And if that's not enough fun, then walk in pitch black until you find the fossil site. These are the 6 women that said, bring it on. The significance of the Rising Star dig. The world's top anthropologists were working in East Africa on 100 hominoid fossils in 50 years of work. The Rising Star team found their first 100 fossils in 5 days of work. This 19-day expedition and a second team working in a nearby cave a few months later found a total of 1,500 hominoid fossils. That's more than double the entire number of hominoid fossils discovered worldwide. Usually, fossils are found partially enclosed by hard rock or sediment. It usually takes weeks or even months to painstakingly remove fossils from their enclosure. The fossils in the Dinaledi chamber were sitting on top of soft, dusty earth. The majority of the bones in the chamber were articulating. This means finger bones were laying in their natural order. The bones were laying in their natural order. Fingers, hands to arms to shoulders, and so on. In a future speech, I will elaborate on the findings in the chamber, but I want to conclude today listing the heroines of the expedition. Becca Peixoto, archaeologist and PhD student in the Department of Anthropology at American University. Maria Elliott, originally from Calgary, Canada, and has a PhD in biological anthropology from Simon Fraser University, Canada. Ellen Sufferagate, a PhD candidate at the Australian National University, studying shoulder biomechanics. Hannah Morris, an archaeologist with a passion. She received her bachelor's degree from the University of Georgia, a master's degree from the Ohio State University, and is beginning her PhD studies at the University of Georgia. Ali Grove, the University of Washington, Madison PhD candidate. She began her career in anthropology at Wellesley College, where she earned her BA in a 4-field anthropology program. Hunter, Kay Lindsay Hunter, is a biological anthropologist. She received her master's from the University of Iowa. At the Rising Star expedition, she met and later married her husband, Rick Hunter. What I'd like to wrap up this story with is just reminding you that great breakthroughs in sciences happen when ordinary people step into the dark. Thank you, Toastmasters.